Congressman McKinley, thank you so much for joining us today. I think it's important for voters in the Ohio Valley, specifically in the Northern Panhandle, to get a chance to hear from you as to why they should elect you and get you back into Washington, D.C. for another term.
Interesting question, and it's one we probably should be better prepared to answer, but I think the best way to look at it is just our work isn't finished. We've seen what's happened in the administration to take on what it's done to our valley and our coal and our gas industries. So we're pushing back against that. It's all about jobs. And so we look at what's happened, what's occurred. We see what's happened. This administration has used rules and regulation. Remember, all these things that have squashed our coal and held back our gas are not laws passed by Congress, but rather by the president. So what we need to do is keep pushing back, try to get some sense through these regulations and what we're doing. And as a result, I've been honored. It made me chairman of the Coal Caucus to represent the entire country as it relates to fossil fuels, particularly coal. So we're working, what my office does is work with the Western Caucus, because we have 85 members and the Western Caucus has 75. So between the two of us, we have 160 members of Congress interested in the issues that affect us in our valley, because primarily about fossil fuels and coal. And what we want to find out, and we've been working on now 6 years, how do we push back against an administration that has an agenda to strike and do away with the coal industry? So I'm not finished, and I'm concerned, very much concerned, that a successor has already been, Hillary Clinton has already said that she's going to continue this war on coal. That's got to stop. So I want to be there if she is elected to stop her.
So much talk is about the energy industry and the impact that it has, obviously, on our local economy and our workforce. What ways can you, as a congressman, ensure not only that the energy industry continues to help West Virginia prosper, but how can you assure voters that there are going to be other opportunities outside of the energy industry, something that we talk so much about?
Now you've opened up a whole can of worms with it. Let's first talk on coal, what we can do about coal, because a lot of our miners, our coal miners, could still be in operation. Now, just think, over the last 6 years, or 8 years since this administration, 83,000 coal miners across the country have lost their jobs. 83,000. 400 coal mines have closed down. 112 coal-fired power plants have closed down. There are consequences of that. Connect the dots. Make sure people understand. These are jobs that are related. These are families. These are communities that are affected with this. So what we want to do is first be able to push back on the regulations. We've already gotten the EPA to change 2 regulations because we've been pushing back. Other things would be to be able to export our coal. Around the rest of the world, they're still burning coal. I was in India. I was in China. Primarily look at their coal-fired power plants, because if they're doing it more efficiently and cleanly than we are, then shame on us in America. So we went over to find out how they're doing it, found out we are so far advanced on what they're doing on clean energy that what we could do is improve that. So they're going to use coal. India is going to double its consumption of coal, more than we produce now to make energy. So we know that there's an avenue out there, but we've got to get the coal to them. Now let's go to the other. For people that don't necessarily want to work in a coal mine or a steel mill or a glass plant or a chemical factory, it's a diversification of our economy. And I finally found a president with Gordon Gee at WVU that it's a perfect fit. We are absolutely on the same page about using research to find new avenues for economic revitalization throughout West Virginia. Because if we can do the research here, we know history has showed all around the country, plants will locate wherever that research is, because they want the fresh research. They want to have access to the laboratories. They want access to the technicians and the laboratory people working on these things. So if we can build those bases of research in West Virginia, and Gordon Gee is absolutely on board with that. The 3 areas we're talking about with him, and we've been helping him nationally on it, is energy, healthcare, and defense. The 3 cornerstones of what's going to build our country back again.
Yeah, you talked about healthcare, and we've talked so much about the Affordable Care Act here in the Ohio Valley and the impact that it could have on the people who live here. What is your take? What are your thoughts, and what are the ways that you can kind of shape how that impacts our voting populace and the people here?
Probably the best thing would be to replace it, but that's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen under this scenario. For 8 years, this has been his legislation, signature legislation for him. He was going to veto any effort to do that. So instead of that, then let's find out take our business background that I take to Congress. Let's cooperate. Let's find a way to make it work. It's going to be the law of the land, whether I like it or not. We just don't have the votes, and he's going to veto it. So let's make it work, and that's what we need to do, is keep working at it. Let's find so that you can get insurance across state borders. You can do that. Let's make your payments, your premium payments, make them tax deductible for individuals. Our corporations are allowed to deduct that. Why can't individuals be able to do that? And health savings accounts, let's plus them up to give them stronger opportunities for people. We can improve the health care plan, but they've got to at least listen to us instead of just fighting us when we're just trying to make it work.
We talk about the health and well-being of West Virginians, and one thing that we have talked about ad nauseum is the heroin epidemic and the drug epidemic that has impacted West Virginia, not just West Virginia, but the country as a whole. What are you doing in Washington, D.C., and what can we do more here at home in West Virginia to ensure that we're ahead of this fight, that we can stay ahead of it, and that we can help those who need help in West Virginia?
Well, what we did in Congress just maybe 2 months ago, we took 11 bills and we combined them into one and passed it. Now we've got to see how effective that's going to be. But I think that's just the starting point. There are so many other components of it. One that I'd love to see, and I ask your audience or anyone else, everyone knows who C. Everett Koop was as the Surgeon General of the United States. But no one knows who the current Surgeon General is. I want that man to come out of the shadows and do the same kind of public relations work that C. Everett Koop did, and talk about that to our young people, because we've got to catch this youngest generation and start teaching them, as coming through the educational system, about the poisonous, cancerous effect it has using opioids, heroin, and other addictive drugs. But I think we have to have a much more pronounced, visible, audible here as concern for it. And so I've been asking now for some time to get the Surgeon General out more public. He's got a great website. You can find it on his website. But not everybody wants to go to his website. Come out and talk about it. So education is going to be a real key to it. The other key is some of the issues that we're doing, like in Fairmont, West Virginia, where they have day courts. People that, instead of incarcerating everybody, let's see how long they can keep clean. And if they stay clean for 2 years, then their record is expunged on that. So let's work on that. Let's see about education. Let's work through it for the youngest kids all the way up through. So instead of putting everyone in prison, let's find a way to put them through another system that we can check out and keep them clean. One
thing that we hear a lot on the campaign trail is that politicians are all talk and they're no action, right? How can you assure voters that you're not just all talk?
Well, I guess a couple things. One is the one that I'm particularly proud of. There are a lot of polls out there that talk about whether you're very conservative or very liberal, or where you are on environmental issues. We got all those. But the one I'm particularly fond of is one that said, how bipartisan are you? How well can you work with people on the other side of the aisle? And they've ranked me now the 22nd most bipartisan member of Congress. That puts me in the upper 5% of the Congress members. So I know that I have a cooperative relationship with people. Now, how does that manifest itself? I passed 11 bills out of the House, and I passed 61 amendments. In this national energy policy bill that we're working on right now, I've got 8 amendments were adopted into that bill. On the education bill, I have 3 amendments in that. So I know we've been very effective. That's important. That's a good question that you come up with, because we've got to show that it's not just talk, but we're actually getting things done. And I'll put up against a lot of our folks, how many amendments, how many bills have you passed, or how much influence can you have on the process? And then I look at my peers. They've made me the chairman of the coal caucus, because I'm not going to back down from this fight. This has too much impact on our coal miners in West Virginia. And particularly, the one that we're immersed in a lot right now is being able to take care of our pensions. We have 120,000 coal miners across this country. 120,000 coal miners are potentially going to lose their pension and their health care benefits if we don't act. So I'm the sponsor of that bill. I've been working on it now for 4 years. We're getting more and more support for it, and I'm encouraged. I think we're going to get something passed.
It's kind of a delicate dance this election season when we talk about the presidential election and what it means for America and the controversy surrounding both candidates. How, as a congressman, have you felt about this presidential election, and specifically about the two candidates that we're left with?
I've never been more distressed in all my life. The reality is, you got to look past their individual candidates and look at the consequences of it. This is about a fight for America right now. And that next president is going to have potentially 2, 3, maybe even 4 appointees to the Supreme Court. So yeah, we've had some difficult presidents in the past. But when this president comes in, whoever that person is, appointing someone to the Supreme Court could have an impact on the direction of our country for maybe 30 years. So I think it's very important how people look at it. Put aside sometime their differences with the individuals and look for the country. Where do we want this country to go from the Supreme Court? Because our courts are becoming more and more involved in the process.
In your opinion, is there one person that's better suited to move the country in a positive direction?
Oh, I think, as I said earlier, I think Hillary Clinton's already told me that she's going to continue this war on coal. We've seen the effect on it. I can't imagine why we would want to support that candidate, especially for our valley. Maybe other areas of the country she can resonate with, but here she wants to continue the same policy. Now I go back over to the other side with Donald Trump. Donald's laid out 11 or 12 candidates that he would appoint to the Supreme Court. We checked them out from the people. They're all rated particularly conservative, and they're constitutionalists. That's what, if you listen to the debate, when they had the debate between the two candidates, she talked about working with people. No, I'm an engineer, not a lawyer. So I'm going to look at the Constitution by the way it's written, not by having a poll taken about how the people feel about something. What does it say in the Constitution? Because that's what made us the most powerful nation in the world. The envy, that shining city on the hill, is having a document that people can respect. That's why I want the next president, and I hope it's going to be Donald Trump, to lead us by having the right appointees to the Supreme Court, and for us, help get our jobs back here in the coal industry and the natural gas so that we can build our pipelines and ship our natural gas to other places around the world, because they're desperately looking for our fossil fuels. And we've got all of the natural gas we can ever use, and we got the coal that we can have. Let's use those resources to make America great.
You and I could talk for hours, and I feel that there are many issues and challenges that our area in West Virginia faces, but I'll leave you with this last question. In the easiest way that you can describe it, Mr. Manypenny, Congressman Mckinley, what is the biggest difference?
I don't know Manypenny. Whatever he's going to do and whatever he's going to say, all I know is I care about these people in our valley and throughout this north central West Virginia. We conduct over 300 meetings a year when we're back in the district to be able to talk to people, to understand, to listen to them. So I think if anything, our best way to say is how we govern. We're trying to be your voice. You've got to hear what's on your mind. And when we hear that and take it back to Washington, then we start developing legislation and how we might be able to work it. So whatever he's going to do, campaign on, whatever he's done, he's done. I got a record that I'm very proud of, to be able to, we've been able to fight and get respect in Washington for our efforts and what we're trying to accomplish. So I'm hoping it's going to pay off. But particularly, let me just close with this research. If we can get the research coming into West Virginia that we deserve to have in this state, you're going to see a very diverse economic situation. Combine that with a cracker facility at Dilly's Bottom, my goodness. We're going to have people returning. What a great thing to have, is people coming back to West Virginia to be with their families again. That's my mission.
Congressman Mckinley, thank you so much. Good luck on Election Day.
Thank you very much. Thank you.